things that you're hearing today. And so I think in the spirit of being sensitive to you, good. I'm glad it's jarring, because we don't grow unless we're bothered. And I want us to be bothered a little, as well as we're doing together. I want us to be bothered a little. One thing I wanted to make mention of with George, in kind of like the process of him being adopted into our household with the Musechas, and one thing that I've learned from my mother through that process is that there's a difference between generosity and hospitality. And what you experience when you go to Malawi is hospitality. Literally, I show up to Malawi. I was telling some of my friends as we were having lunch. I show up in Malawi, and when I do, rejoice, just rejoice, let George go and travel with me. I'm like, what? Like, what?
And she's happy about it.
And she's happy about it.
2 weeks of holiday.
2 weeks of holiday. Yeah, that's great. That's great. But generosity might say, here's what I have. Here's a little bit that I want to share with you. Hospitality says, all that I have is yours. Come and be with me. And so, I wanted to mention that in the story that George got to share with us. I love ideas. I love interacting with ideas. I had a whole entire organization named Chisomo Idea, because I love ideas. And I love more so when ideas move from this invisible, nebulous space into life, as we are experiencing right now. And so this next speaker is a man who brings ideas to life.
Yeah.
He is a young and coming author, not just in the country of Malawi, but all over the African continent. He's being recognized for the work that he does, and from the African continent beyond. And we are so proud to have one of our own represent the way we think, and represent the fact that, people on our side of the world also do have a voice that is to be honored and that is to be validated. And so, without saying too much, will you help me welcome up on stage Mr. Shadrach.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon.
So good to be here. I would like, before I start speaking, recognize the presence of course, everyone, but also 3 wonderful people in the house. I would like to recognize the presence of Dr. Stephen Bosch, sitting at the back there. She's a professor at University of California.
UCLA.
UCLA. But before that, she was at Michigan University, where she was teaching English and literature. She taught my book in one of her classes, and I think she's also doing that at the university where she is. But I also would like to recognize the presence of 2 wonderful people who I regard as parents to me. They've been partners with the ministry that we founded with my wife 11 years ago. Reverend Jones, right in front. And Mrs. Jones, Joy Jones, seated over there. They have flown all the way from Ohio to attend the conference and just to interact with us. They've been to Malawi several times because their organization, MOCP, partners with the organization that I founded, which helps orphan and vulnerable children and women and all that. And so it's a joy to have you in the house. And also each and every one of you. This is just so beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much. I'm not boasting, but I am known in Malawi as a writer who has had privileges and opportunities. I think at the moment I am the most traveled writer. I have been, to so many places in Africa and outside Africa. I have interacted with politicians. I have dined with, kings and princes, like literally in Malawi and outside Malawi. And I think CNN lists me as one of the 7 must-read writers from Africa. As I said, I'm not boasting. And I've been anthologized with many notable writers, including Chimamanda Ngozi, Wole Soyinka, if you know them. And people know this success story about me. And they don't know what has made me what I am. I come from this tiny country. Malawi is very tiny. I think it's the size of Pennsylvania. There's nothing spectacular that happens in my country. Of course, Africa, by the way, Africa is very large. People don't realize that. Africa is, you take the United States, North America alone is the size of the Sahara Desert. So you talk of Japan, the whole of Europe, the whole of America, and other parts of the world, all of them combined, that's the size of Africa. But I come from this tiny country called Malawi. Nothing spectacular, as I've said, happens in Malawi. And as a matter of fact, there was a time I was being introduced, and the master of ceremonies introduced me as Shadrach Chikoti from Mali. So I said, no, I'm not from Mali, I'm from Malawi. No, I heard it's Mali. Like she knew better what I was saying. So nothing spectacular, it's tiny. So you can imagine the surprise that I got in 2014 when I received a Facebook message from someone in Kenya who said, CNN has been trying to locate you. They want to cover your story. So I was like, CNN trying to locate me. There's so many writers in Africa, notable writers. This must be bogus. This must be fraud. And so I didn't respond. And then I told my wife, Yamikani, and Yamikani said, you know what? Respond. You never know. And she reminded me of a story that had happened a few years before this. A writer friend of mine, very famous in Africa, had received an email from an organization. And this email said, our organization has been trying to locate you. We have given you an honorary award as someone who is very influential in Africa. And he looked at the email and was like, come on, you're kidding me, this is fraud. And so he said, no. A few weeks later, the BBC report, writer so-and-so denied the $20,000 award. So CNN came and they covered my story, and it was broadcast, in the entire world. I received messages, people congratulating me from Philippines, from Canada, from America, from Africa, from all over. What that did to me, in the first place, it made me cry, really. Like, God, what is this? And secondly, it made me look back at my life, just to draw lessons. And what I learned at that time and what I continue to learn is the value of ideas. Now, talking about the value of, because we're talking of made to flourish. One of the ways we can be made to flourish is by valuing our ideas, but also valuing other people's ideas, especially people that are different, and that's what I want to speak into. There's an episode in my life that I don't forget, because this episode is almost responsible for what I am. Now, I had written a manuscript, and I'd sent it to a publisher. I had worked on this manuscript for 1 year, and I was so excited about it. I sent it to a publisher, and a few weeks later, the manuscript came back in red ink with a rejection letter. and they'd say, we can't publish this book. You're not a writer. The story is disjointed, the characters are not developed, the language is not palatable, it is not up to standard. And mind you, I wrote this book in my mother tongue, and they said the language is not good. So I went home crying, dejected, and I said to myself, I can never ever become a writer. Went home crying. I locked myself in my room. My mom came and knocked on the door. I didn't open. My father did the same thing. And in the evening, I opened the door for my dad. And he was like, oh, what's wrong, son? So I took the manuscript and gave it to him. He said, they've rejected my manuscript. My dream of becoming a writer is dead. So my father didn't say anything apart from, sorry, son. Sorry. But he took the envelope with him and went into his room. And I noticed when I woke up, I didn't eat that evening, but I noticed when I woke up in the middle of the night that the light in my dad's room was on. And it stayed on the whole night until morning. When I woke up, the first thing that my dad did when he woke up was to come to my room. I was still sleeping. And he said, son, you need to rewrite this manuscript. I have plotted for you chapter 1 to chapter 4. The book had 7 chapters. So write, this book according to my plot, and add the other chapters. And so I wrote it. Chapter 1, chapter 3, chapter 4, up to chapter 7. And I sent it back to the publisher. And it came back. This time around, the publisher said, chapter 1 to chapter 4 is okay. And chapter 5 to chapter 7, sorry. I told my dad, and my dad took the manuscript to his friend who is a writer. Now he's, he passed on. But apparently he was also the editor of this publishing house. And he plotted for me from chapter 5 to chapter 7. And I wrote according to the plot. When he sent it to the publisher, it was published. And I was the first person, I was the youngest person at that to be published while I was in high school. If it were not for that moment, I would not be standing here. If it were not for that moment, I was not going to, I think, marry my wife because I married my wife because of poetry, And you see, that's when I learned that the difference between the Father who art in heaven and the Father who is on earth is that you have to believe in the Father who art in heaven, hallowed be his name. But the Father who is on earth has to believe in you, believe in your ideas. Because you're in a sense his idea anyway. Because ideas make people. Ideas make societies. America is known for its ideas or his ideas. You can't separate America from the idea of the American dream. That's why everyone is now want to come to America. Grass made of cheese. You can't separate that. You can't separate the ideas of equal rights and justice and freedom for all and people marching for their freedom. I think there was recently a women's march and there's because you have embraced the idea of human rights, of mother rights. You can't separate that from America. Ideas make people. Ideas make societies. And I say, if it were not for that moment, I wasn't going to be here. My father made me flourish because he believed in my ideas, and his friend believed in his believing of my ideas. And that's, one way we can make people flourish, believing in their ideas, and especially people that are different. We thank God for the missionaries that came to Malawi, to Africa, because seriously, Africa would have been something different if it were not for them. In fact, this is what I say when I'm speaking of missionaries. The people, because we were colonized by the British, the people that drove out the British in Malawi were actually Americans. So Americans drove out the British, the colonial masters. But what am I saying? Because one of the pioneers who fought for our freedom in Malawi is Reverend John Chilembwe. Reverend John Chilembwe had come to America in the I think around 1940, 1930, from Malawi. And when he came here, he learned about the ideas of freedom, of fighting for one's rights and all that. And when he was leaving America, he left with that spirit. He had been, told and not indoctrinated, but his eyes were open because he had come to America. And so when he went to Malawi, he was like, no, we need to claim back our country. So missionaries contributed, America contributed. We thank God for the missionaries that came to Africa, but one mistake that the missionaries did, not all of them, was that they didn't so much as respect the people's ideas, or not respect, but I think it was an issue of understanding. Because when the missionaries came, they almost labeled everything that the natives were doing as pagan and evil, and so the dances were pagan, the dressing, was pagan. So if you wanted to join Christianity, for example, you had to denounce your culture. And there were divides, that were created. New villages were formed. Son, rose against the father. The chief of the village, sent out some people in the village because they did not want to conform to the culture. For a very long time, I actually thought, because you see, there are some churches that the traditions of the missionaries as part of worship, because they could not separate that. And for a very long time, I thought that there was a verse in the Bible that said if you're a deacon and a church elder, you have to put on a jacket every Sunday and a necktie and leather shoes. Because literally every Sunday I went to church when I was growing up. Every other deacon, church elder, had to put on a jacket. And if you were going to preach in the church, whether you were not a deacon or not, you were supposed to put on a jacket. And so that was like part of worship. And so I thought, maybe there's a verse that says that. And there's so many churches, for example, that still, of course, have certain kind of traditions. In my church, then you could not sing any other song apart from the hymns. And of course, you had to hold the hymn book in a particular way and sing in a particular way. Our churches, the structures, they're built like the churches in Scotland, because that's where the missionaries for my church came from, Scotland. And so for a long time we could not go past that as a church, my church. Not every other church, but I'm talking about my church. We could not go past that. And then in the 90s, the Pentecostal movement swept across the country, and indigenous churches were born. And in these churches, people could sing traditional songs, not just hymns. They could use bongos, they could clap hands, they could lie prostrate on the ground and worship. They could use, I think, recently vuvuzelas. And people in my church saw that and they were like, yeah, we want to go there because we love to party. We want to go there, we want to dance Chiwoda. We want to dance Chitelera as we worship God. And people flocked out of my church. And then the leadership sat down and said, what's going on? And we realized, we are not behaving like a Malawian church. We are behaving like a church in England. Let's incorporate these are our traditions. These are our ideas. Let's incorporate them. And we did. We brought in instruments. We brought in bongos and banjos and guitars and malimbas. And the church grew double the size. Because, ideas make people, make societies. By valuing other people's ideas, we validate them. We confirm their identity. We make them flourish. But you see, it's it's easier said than done. It's easier said, value other people's ideas. It's easier said than done because there are challenges. We judge other people's ideas based on our ideas, based on how we have grown up, based on the things that we have read, based on our upbringing, in short, based on our world. So when you see any idea that's outside your world, it creates conflict. And the first reaction is to reject it. To say this is, because our wrong and our right is made by what we are. Our upbringing, our schools, So anything outside that creates some conflict. And so it's a challenge to value other people's ideas because of that. I wrote a story some years ago, and this story was a story that was set in a city in Europe, Copenhagen, which is a city that I know very well. There was no African in it, there was no black person in the story, it was just Danish characters. I sent it to an agent, and the agent said, "Hey, man, good story." And the agent sent it to a publisher. And the publisher said, "Hey, agent, good story." And then later on they learned that the author is African. And then they said, how are we going to sell this as African literature? This is not African literature. And as a publisher, it's going to be difficult for me to sell it. Now, I'm a publisher now, so I understand. Now, then I didn't understand. I understand now what that meant. It was very true. Because for you to sell a book, you have to brand it. And it was difficult, for them to brand this book. It was a new idea. They had never confronted this before. And then the book was rejected. And I was kind of dejected. I didn't send it to anyone else, and later on the book just died a natural death. I lost the manuscript. Because our judgment of what's right, what's wrong is based on our world, what we know, what we think is authentic. And so anything outside that, as I've said, creates conflict. I work with an organization in Malawi. As I've said, it's an organization that was founded 10 years ago, Kanyenyeva Ministries. And we do have visitors every year from especially America. And for the people who come for the first time, what I continue to hear is when we're driving on the roads, "Oh my God, we are driving on the wrong side. I don't want to look, I don't want to look." But we drive on a different side. So you have to assure them, no, it's not the wrong side. It's actually the right side. It's just different. It's just different.
How rude of me, I'm
Because
sorry.
we tend to judge ideas, people, based on our world of what we know is right or wrong. You spank your kids in Africa?
Yes.
That's wrong. Like, you don't spank your kids? That's wrong.
Guess that's a conversation we'll be needing to have.
Everything that happens, all these ideas, there's a reason why it's happening like that. Which is why you need to understand. For you to value the ideas, you need to understand what is it, what makes this society, what makes this person. Because there are rewards when you value other people's ideas, and especially people that are different. By people that are different, I'm talking about the difference of opinion, difference of cultures, difference of sexes, difference in terms of economic status, I think especially when the status of the other is lower. difference in terms of religious ideologies. It's valuing other people that are different. There are rewards. The first reward that I can talk about is that it helps us to walk out of our comfort zone and experience the diversity of God's creation. And therefore it enlarges our world. We enrich our own lives and set us free from the myopia of our own limited perspectives. See, the world is fractured into too many divides. Too many divides. And most of them really come out because people are misunderstanding ideas, because they're not valuing the ideas of the others, because you think, my idea is better than his, let me stick to this. And you don't take time to listen to the ideas of the others. And by doing that, you don't let them flourish. And there are all these divides that come, by valuing other people's ideas. We bridge these gaps. We cannot always agree. We can agree to disagree. But then I have to understand the idea and value it, although I disagree with you. And then you'll be made to flourish. Let me finish by saying a question may arise. So does this mean we should value any other idea? So you want to say there are no wrong ideas? You want to say there are no sinful ideas? So we should make everyone flourish when they present an idea? I think the answer is, of course, there are sinful ideas, wrong ideas, ideas that can destroy societies. But you ask questions. If you're a Christian like me, you ask, is this idea in line with the Word of God? If you're a Christian like me. If you are a person who is concerned, like in my country, about women issues like Rejoice and me and others, you ask the question, does it represent women in a manner that's respectful, in a manner that will let them flourish? You ask such kind of questions. If you're an activist like me, you ask questions like, does it respect human rights? Although it's different, although it's outside my knowledge and I've never confronted an idea like this, but is it going to let this person flourish? Is it going to let me flourish? Is it going to let our community flourish? Ideas make people. Ideas make societies. Do they have any idea? Help them flourish. By valuing their idea, although they're different. And of course, it starts with us valuing our own ideas as to want even to share them with others. And let others come into our lives and learn about our ideas. And sync that with their ideas. Do they have an idea? One of the ways they can be made to flourish is when we value their ideas. Thank you so much for listening. God bless you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Shadrach Chikoti. Brilliant. Okay, let's start here. So, ideas are very, very delicate things. And so I love that at the end you finish with, part of us respecting our own, respecting the process of us respecting other people's ideas is respecting our own and being willing to put them out there.
Yes.
And then that throughout your story is ideas that have been rejected along the way. How do you survive the rejection period?
I think first is that knowledge, that confidence, which is why at the end I talk about valuing your ideas. Because like for example, the book that was rejected, if it were now, I would have kept it. I would have pushed on. But when I received that rejection letter, then the value that I had in the book sort of diminished, which is not what is supposed to happen. I should have believed in myself, believed in this idea, as to want to seek another avenue. So I think it starts with that belief in yourself, believing in your ideas, which is why I gave that example of...
like that song, that's a good idea. Also, like that song.
That's a very good idea.
Yeah. We honor that idea, we respect it. Yeah, yeah, just hit up the volume, let it go up. You're doing what you gotta do, son.
Yeah, so place value in the first place on your ideas. And when your ideas are rejected and discarded, in the first place you should understand, because they might have a point. But if you think, well, I believe in this so much, try other avenues. There are so many stories from a writing perspective of manuscripts that were rejected. The writer of Harry Potter, her manuscript was rejected several times. Alice in Wonderland. There are stories, behind that, how that he thought the manuscript was worthless and all that. So believe in yourself first.
So what you're saying is we can't survive boards alone.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so make the whole idea of make Flourish.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And the reason why make is such an important word in that in that name is that we believe that you and I as followers of Jesus, we believe that that God created us, and I think it's author Elwin McManus that said this so articulately that we are not only created to be in the creative order,
That's right.
to be a part of the creative order, we are created to be a part of the creative order. So in light of that, with that backdrop in mind, what then do you, when you put something out there that spiritually feels right, and it continues to get rejected, what do you do then?
And so you have something, and to you it feels spiritually right, and then it's getting rejected. You go back to the Word of God. That the devil is not happy with God's work, and so there's going to be disappointments on the way. But even the Bible encourages us to soldier on, which is why you need to seek other avenues. Which is why you need to look for doors that can open. Which is why you need to be on your knees to push that forward.
Now, as a publisher now, right? As a publisher now, you've moved on from the role of not just putting your own ideas out there, but also interacting with other people's ideas. You've pushed on to the role that you're inviting all of us to be in, which is really like a midwife role, right? Encourage the midwives in the room.
So I run this publishing house. It's called Pan-African Publishers. If you go to Malawi, the publishing industry is not one of the flourishing industries. But we've done something with our publishing house. Of course, it's in the people that we have targeted, but also it's in the marketing. But what's exciting is to interact with different ideas. We just published a book. By the way, there are some books that are selling outside. My novel, which is As Well as the Kingdom, a novel that's set in Africa hundreds of years from now, and then an anthology that incorporates different writers from across Africa in science fiction. And so it's exciting when you're interacting with these different ideas. And I would invite people that are, that have manuscripts, that have stories, if they would want the publishing house to get involved in that, or me as a person to get involved in their project in any way, because you can't just sit on an idea, and what we make, it comes out, the product is not always from a single person. The novel that I'm talking, for example, was written in the native language, and there were so many people who did, who worked on it. Sean helped with, the initial translation. I sent it to a lot of, people, and Dr. Stephen Bosch, and a lot of people who have made this book into what it is, and it's won so many awards, and it's celebrated highly. So you can't just sit on an idea by yourself. Share it with people and allow them to speak onto your idea, and improve on it if there's that kind of need.
I love that. Just about the most honoring thing I think that you can do to an African publisher is for you to publish your work with him.
That's right.
Shameless plug.
That's right.
I just put that out.
No, thank you so much.
Hey, I'm working on a book myself. Do you take, how do you feel about the title, A Little Offensive Book About Race by Pastor Noel? Right?
Yeah, sounds offensive as in the title.
Yeah.
But
You'll be fine with it.
no, as in
No,
it's,
no, you won't.
no, the reason why I would be fine with it is because just by reading that already it sends good pimples on you, and you'd want to read that. So it's a good title.
What it means is that it's a great book.
Yeah, so I would encourage you to.
Shadrach Chikoti, it is an honor.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank you for blessing us with your presence, and and I mean this in every sense of it. May God bless you, and may God continue to bless your work.
Thank you so much.
You will interact with many. In fact, you know what? Here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Go ahead and stand up real quick. Let's go ahead and take a stand. We're going to stretch, but also I want to change your perspective. Literally, I want to change your perspective based on where you're sitting. So I just want you to walk a few steps. If you more than 5, go sit at another place. Go sit at another location. Just more than 5 steps. Move somewhere. Go sit somewhere else. Maybe go sit with somebody else different, so we can change your perspective.
Changing perspective.